Welcome back to SVR race fans. My name's Webbo, and we are ready for the G2 round 9 of the championship. A little bit of catch up going on from myself here, just to try and make up for the terrible fact that I took a holiday. Here we are with the standings. Apologies if there are any interruptions with my voice today. The standings so far, after 8 rounds of the championship, Pumpkin leads with 3 wins to his name on 115 points, ahead of Apex Not Found, who has only won the first race of the championship, but came back to the podium at the previous round in Yamagiwa in the Kyoto round of the championship. We've got JCGT in P3 on 71 points, but he's been missing for a couple of races, with Monkey Games for Delesi building a solid championship position now on 65 points. We have Breo on 57. Apex Specs and Quicks moved up in the standings and are joint 6th position, with Black Evo the victim of those manoeuvres. So Black Evo down to 8th, but only 1 point behind on 49. Motsky, Kelvin the Boss, DeLucas and Gubanov make out the 12 permanent drivers currently on the standings. In the teams championship, we have Delesi leading by a virtually unassailable lead at the moment, ahead of Kimi's racing team who are on 158 points. Coach Dave in 3rd, Bergstein in 4th, with Mega Racing, Jamplacht and Bro Kargen. You can see that the gap is the biggest it has been so far this season. And if you want to dig deeper and find out some cool facts from this race, from previous rounds, or from the season overall, please visit info.svr-racing.com and have a look at all of our records. And thank you to everybody who works really hard to make sure that all the race data is integrated into our championship. Just 1 second for me. Apologies for that. Okay, so let's try and continue then with the race. This is how things looked after qualifying. Team Mega at the back of the grid with Motsky and then Kelvin the Boss alongside him for Jamplacht Interiors. Apex Specs qualifying unusually low here in 12th position, and Rizbak, I think, guest driving in G2 here for Kimi's racing team in the prideful livery. We've got Monsieur Keefe, a relative newcomer to the league in for Jamplacht, and he's added some custom colours to his windshield and side mirrors. There you can see you've got Quicks in the Bergstein Nismo with the giant logo on the front, the number 34 in 9th place, and his teammate Black Evo rocking the same very bold livery in P8. Breo in the Jag, the brand new Jag for the Bro Karga team in 7th position, and he's using the matte black version of the livery. And I have to say, slightly unusual. Something I noticed recently was that the rear wing, the stickers are on upside down from what you would normally see on the rear wing. So I don't know if that's a deliberate choice, if it's one of those situations where, you know, if you can see this, I'm upside down, or it's a deliberate action for the chase cam. Not entirely sure. JCGT comes back then, which is good to see him back for Kimi's racing team with the traditional Kimi's racing team livery here. And ready to go in the number 91 in P6. Apex Not Found in P5 with Monkey Games in 4th. We have Lucas in P3, and then Bibar, who has been brought in as a kind of roving reserve driver, qualifying in 2nd place here in the GT3s for Team Mega, and Pumpkin King, who is leading the championship and is leading the charge after qualifying as well in P1, securing that pole position with the newly updated moustache for the nose. And I absolutely love that. That really rocks. So thank you for making that choice for us there, Pumpkin King. Let's get our camera organized and get us underway then. 50 minutes await. We were expecting changeable conditions throughout the 2-weekend round of the championship. I have no idea if we had any weather, but it seems like we've got Monkey Games on the soft tyres. There is a little bit of standing water on the grid, slightly less on the left-hand side of the track. We've got let's have a quick look. Actually, I forgot to look at the tyres. So Pumpkin King on intermediates. We've got B-Bar on mediums, and as you say, slightly drier line on the odd-numbered side of the grid. So we've got medium tyres for Bibar, we've got intermediates for DeLucas. Monkey Games is starting on soft, so possibly expecting an early rain shower from his weather forecast. We've got Apex Not Found on intermediates. The majority of our drivers are starting on intermediates. Michel Keefe starting on the medium tyres. We've got Kelvin the Boss starting on hard tyres. Not often you see drivers start on the hards and on the softs in the same race. The two drivers at the back taking the opportunity to try some dry tyres here as well. So B-Bar with the medium tyres might well get away well if he can find a dry line, but that dry line will take a little bit of time to materialize. So we're ready for 50 minutes of racing for the G2 League, and it's ready to go then. For round 9 of the championship here in Austria, we are underway. There's a little jump start from the Buchstein in the rear, but it's dropped the clutch and it's go, 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 slow away from the Jaguar. Lots of drivers experimenting with the grip, and actually a fairly equitable start up the inside. We've got JCGT in this fast starting Ferrari trying to split the middle, but it was a camera's perspective issue there for us, as B-Bar is definitely in second place, and we've got JCGT right there fighting for his position, but this is B-Bar getting away fantastically. He's been racing in my seat for Team Mega in the AN division, and who knew he had this kind of skill set underneath him here. And Pumpkin King will be very relieved to get out of turn 3 comfortably in the grippier side of the track, but this could be a very, very advantageous position then for B-Bar, if he can hold on to the car. It's a heavy Lexus. It uses its tyres a little bit more than some of the other cars, especially the ones like the Ferrari. And down the inside goes Breo on JCGT. That was a great overtake from Breo. Let's have another little look at that one. Here we go. If we just have a look, he's already got the overlap, but we have been able to see drivers go side by side. He was slightly earlier, slightly more cautious on the brakes, and then rolls it through. Oh, it's not quite as good as I thought it was in the second look at it. Didn't leave a great deal of space on the exit of the corner. It's JCGT 5th, Rizback 6th, Apex Not Found, and Monkey Games following suit, as the drivers will go single file for the most part through the turns 6 and 7 double left here. Black Evo in 11th, Kelvin the Boss in 10th. We've got Michel Keefe in 12th, Quicks in 13th, Apex Specs very slow away, and he's obviously had some issues. Got some Japanese characters on the back of the window underneath the Webflix transfer. Not quite sure what that is in reference to, but there is another yellow flag on the circuit. Oh, it's B-Bar. I was just talking about how difficult it might be to hold on to the car in the medium tyres as he goes through. Keep your eye on that wet line indicator, and it's just off the circuit slightly, but this is a big one. That is a big impact for B-Bar on the medium tyres, and now of course he's stuck on the wet grass as well and having to let the whole field go by. I don't know if he ends up with an extra spin here as he rejoins the circuit, spins up the back wheels. Oh, that is an absolute tragedy, because qualifying as high as he did, he was in a great place. Here comes Apex Specs to try and get on by and depose B-Bar back to the very back of the grid. That is an absolutely shocking state of affairs, unfortunately for him, but just slightly wide on the wet curb. And that is curtains for his race, especially in this first stint. DeLucas is right there with the leader. How did DeLucas get up that high? I hope there wasn't some contact between DeLucas and B-Bar. It looked like B-Bar slipped off the circuit by himself as we go 2 by 2 down the first main straight here, or at least full throttle zone here, as the two Ferraris are relatively close together. Rizback going for the middle of 3 cars view, and a nerf in the back potentially from Motsky, who didn't have much in the way of room to maneuver with here. Let's have a look. Could he have found a little bit more, been a bit more cautious? Certainly nobody behind him to worry. He's obviously trying to take advantage of every opportunity given, trying the outside-inside maneuver. Looks like Monkey Games losing out from that as well. So yeah, difficult to read exactly who is at fault, if anybody, and these early turns. But clearly drivers trying to take every advantage they possibly can. Here comes Motsky looking for that inside line on Apex Not Found. It doesn't really look like that's open, and unfortunately further contact then, and Apex Not Found off the circuit. I think Motsky has braked in sporting action to allow Apex Not Found to regain that position. Felt a little bit of guilt on that front, I think, Motski. And up from the back, Motski into 11th, but unfortunately plenty of contact at this stage. Quicks has caught this group in the Nismo, and then there's a big gap, of course, to B-Bar, who is driving with damage on the rear of the car on those medium tyres. Apex Specs has gone in and put a new set of medium tyres on the car. Pumpkin King has a decent gap here ahead of DeLucas at the moment. Pumpkin King, no damage, running the intermediate tyre. There is just the tiniest amount of standing water. I can't imagine for a minute that the intermediate tyres are the correct tyre to be on at this stage. I mean, yes, there'll be a slightly more stable tyre, but clearly there is a dry line and there's very little in the way of standing water on the circuit, and they will burn through incredibly quickly. Will the drivers on the dry tyres be in a better position? Monkey Games has less tyre wear on the softs than the intermediate runners do at the moment. So if he can hold on here, stay off these wet curbs, stay off the exits of the corner and the apexes like that, Monkey. If he can do this, then I think he will be in a very good position, because at the moment it's only looking like the track is going to further dry up. Looks like he's got a matte white finish on this Delesi. I don't know if that's new or just the lighting conditions here, but I do like it. I have to say, that makes the white livery look even cleaner. Here is Black Evo in the very good looking number 46 here for Bergstein Transport Service. He's on the intermediate tyres, so just underlining the job that Monkey Games is doing at the moment. And also Kelvin the Boss on the hard tyres. He's got his teammate Simucube right with him, who's on the mediums at the moment. And they're both putting in personal best times, I think, at this stage. And it's blue mirrors versus teal mirrors for the Jan-Placked interior cars. I like the ability to tell the drivers apart like this. So bravo to them. But I do like the original livery with the black and the gold gloss finish for that car. Moxkey is on the medium tyres as well, and then we go back to Quicks, who has nearly half worn through his intermediate tyres in 11th. B-Bar on the racing medium tyres. I don't think he's suffering too much in the way of damage. 134.9. That's 4 seconds faster than Quicks on the intermediate tyres in front. So what could have been with B-Bar had he not had those that incident then in the infield on lap 1? He was right with Pumpkin King and ahead of DeLucas here. But the front two are able to put in some good laps. I think Pumpkin King 134.1, 135.3, 34.8 and 35.1 for DeLucas. And this is very good for the Bro Cargo Jack. It's Brayo in 3rd place. This could well be the season highest position for a Bro Cargo pairing so far. So long may that continue, because everybody likes to see the drivers able to fight on relatively equal terms. We do like the differences between the cars, not including the Ferrari and their grid starts, because we're all sick of that one. But JCGT and Rizback are 4th and 5th positions, both on the intermediate tyres, and Monkey Games is on the softs. Should be able to lean on that tyre a lot more, but I think he's just a little bit shy here of going for marginal moves, and who could blame him? It's been a fairly high action, high incident rate in this G2 round 9 of the Simracing World Championship, the VR Simracing World Championship, excuse me, as Black Evo pits to get off those intermediate tyres, and we'll have to be doing our strategy choices on the fly. I just want to join Motsky on board, because I'm slightly concerned it was looking a little bit darker and there might be some rain, but no, we're okay. There's no obvious rain happening from the driver's perspective, but it is looking like it's getting a little bit darker on the track. Motsky 9th, B-Bar 10th. It's not looking great for Team Mega at the moment, down there at the bottom of the top 10, with Apex Not Found in 11th, and Black Evo emerges from the pits. He has now gone for medium tyres, so I think, not that I can see the radar, but I think the drivers are not expecting rain anytime soon. Apex Specs in 13th and Quicks in 14th at the moment. Pumpkin King leads us, but DeLucas is not letting him get away here, and long may that continue. It's fantastic to see as they both are sliding. They're both struggling with the tyre wear on the intermediate tyre. Surely now it's time to pit before that front left becomes too much of a problem. to handle. Let's see, is Pumpkin King going to be heading into the pit lane here? He was sliding through the previous corner. De Lucas had the opportunity to box opposite Pumpkin King and decline that opportunity. Into the pits though, what looks like a fairly late decision was Breo to pit, and he has worn that tyre a little bit more. Behind him, JCGT in the OG Kimi's Racing Team colours comes in, and Monkey's patience paying off as Rizback, Breo, JCGT all pit off the intermediate tyre. And you've got to say, Monkey has the chance here to put in a good few laps and catch his teammate at the front. 36.7 Monkey is putting in. That is still a second a lap slower than his teammate Pumpkin King, who is on the worst tyre for these conditions. But Monkey has been caught behind other drivers, and now he puts in a purple sector, and you can see him lighting the touch paper. Let's see if if this race runs full dry the entire time. Then I wonder if the soft tyre strategy will come into its own. But all bets are off when it comes to the tyre strategy now. No compound change is no longer required because some drivers have used the wet tyre, the intermediate tyre so far. So that basically gives the entire field carte blanche to race whatever tyre they see fit, even if that means 2 or 3 sets of medium tyres. That's the best information I have for wet condition races. Monsieur Keefe is in 4th place, and we've got Kelvin the Boss in 5th. Motsky and B-Bar now in 6th and 7th thanks to those pit stops. And here is Apex Not Found and Black Evo. They're on similar age medium tyres, and they will now be into a battle proposition between these two. Let's join the Nismo on board at the moment. I do miss having my POV streams showing from the live views, but obviously we do replay comms here in G2 as long as I can avoid oh, now there's rain. That's automatic. Windshield wipers have come on. Windscreen wipers if you're in the UK or I think Australia. So that was a quick moment of windshield wipers. Now, did those get triggered accidentally? Let's just join a different driver further back on the track. Well, at the moment we've got Apex Specs and Breo fighting over this position. I just want to see if other drivers are going to have an issue here through turns 9 and 10. We'll just see what happens on the way through this one. Oh dear me, that's Breo. That's Breo kind of shoved out of position there for a moment. Let's see if we can just check out that manoeuvre as we come through into turn 1. It's Apex Specs down the inside. Breo caught out the outside. It didn't look like contact from my replay, but that's not always the truth. Sometimes that doesn't work out as Pumpkin King comes in. Now, in fact, comes out of the pit lane, and he rejoins just with Breo, who is right at the very back of the grid at the moment. I'm just interested from De Lucas staying out and limping around on this hard tyre. Will his windscreen wipers come on the way through, on the approach to turn 9? If so, that's the opposite direction of the track for the wind. Now, Breo has decided to go long on his intermediate tyres. He's going to have a hell of a time getting in to the pit lane here. He pulls to the inside and he is going in incredibly slowly. You can't blame De Lucas for doing this, making sure that he makes the pit lane, doesn't go over the white line and pick up an extra 3-second penalty. Monkey Games is your new leader. It didn't take long, but we've had the other Porsche now in the lead of the race for a moment here. Monsieur Keefe, who's on the newer medium tyres. Monkey Games is only going to enjoy these soft tyres for a couple more laps before he himself then has to pit for the first time. It's time for those dry starting runners to have their moment, not quite in the sun, but at least out of the doldrums, as Monsieur Keefe is in P2, and this is looking really good actually for Jan Placht Interiors Racing Team. Monsieur Keefe in P2, the American. We've got a New Zealand driver, well, New Zealand-based American driver, Monkey in P1. We've got a US driver in P2 and a Canadian in P3, Kelvin the Boss. Looking good for Jan Placht Interiors at the moment, even though there's a fairly sizable gap between the two drivers. This is B-Bar, still with that rear wing damage, still on the medium tyres, and able to still extract 1 minute 34 laps. The last one was an aberration. The laps 2 through 6 have been very, very quick for B-Bar. Motsky's not far behind as well, and in 5th place. I think that was potentially having B-Bar pass Motsky on the previous lap. All is not lost for Team Mega, despite those early tribulations. We've got Apex Not Found, the fastest man on the track at the moment, fastest driver on the track, I should say, for gender inclusiveness. My apologies. Apex Not Found in P6, Black Evo in P7. Then let's just see if Apex Not Found can push this, can push his namesake Apex Specs off the fastest lap of the race as he rounds out and finishes lap 8. He does indeed by 8.5 tenths of a second, a 32.4. The track is bone dry. It's time really to start pushing on these cars and really pushing for those faster laps. De Lucas from P2, briefly P1, still got his blinker on, but De Lucas has half a tank of fuel and a new set of medium tyres. Let's just see why have we got our former leader of the race, Pumpkin King. Let's come back, let's finish that thought in a moment, but here we have a three-way battle over 10th place. Rizback, oh, there's a lot of unnecessary contact going down into the corner. For the first view of that, at least, it looked like Rizback was the driver driving straight towards the corner, not initiating contact. Here is Apex Specs and Quick with the previous leader of the race, Pumpkin King, coming through, and he's going to try on the soft tyres now. Down to the inside lane he goes through into the final major overtaking point on the circuit. He won't have the best grip on the outside of the circuit. Those clouds looking quite dark on the in the sky, so I wonder if Pumpkin King is expecting rain on the sooner side. Normally you wouldn't think that the soft tyre is a valid race tyre. He's going to dive down the inside into turn 8. Great overtake from Pumpkin King. He really worked hard for that one. Look at this, shaping the car outside to inside. Oh, okay, partly that was Apex Specs with a little shimmy on the exit of the corner, but you have to say Pumpkin King was lining that up regardless and queuing up and ready to go. But Pumpkin King has had a strange situation now. I think it's that 209, 142 in laps and out laps. I need to compare that, I think, to De Lucas. 158 and 140, he must have been off track on his in lap there for a moment. Then Pumpkin King, he'll be relieved that I didn't find that on the on the replay, but I'll come back to it, of course. I won't come back to it, but we'll try and look and see what happened for him. Hopefully it wasn't contact related. De Lucas at the moment in 7th place, was the leader for about half a lap, no, a whole lap I think, just about. JCGT in 8th place on his return to the league. We have Motsky in P9. He's lost a couple of positions recently, unfortunately, I think. Rizback in 10th. Pumpkin King back in 11th place at the moment. Now, has he been off again? No, I don't think so. He managed to pass Apex Specs, so Pumpkin King is a long way from the lead of the race at the moment. Clearly, starting on the intermediates hasn't worked out for him. Apex Specs goes very deep and very wide into turn 4 and off the circuit. He's already wearing a half-second track limit penalty, so pushing a little bit too hard at this stage. We have Breo at the back, but Monkey Games leads for De Lessie with Monsieur O'Keefe choosing the right tyres at the start of our race today. Personal best time from Monsieur O'Keefe at the moment, building the speed then and the confidence in the car as the fuel comes off. Kelvin the Boss started on the hard tyres. I was surprised to see someone do that while we still had intermediates and softs being selected. B-Bar went from P2 on the grid down to the last 2 positions at least. He's now back to P4, and he's been driving with damage, a 34.9. So there's no doubt in my mind that that B-Bar is a GT specialist rather than a Formula car specialist. This is showing incredibly well. It's very impressive debut here in G2. Apex Not Found in 5th with the half-second penalty waiting to be paid. It looked like that was the lap for Coach Dave to get those penalties. We've got a car off the circuit up ahead here. Oh no, it's Monkey Games who's been off. Let's see if that was contact or just a slip It looks like it's very low grip into this turn 4. It was just a typical Porsche spin turn, a little bit of oversteer in the corner, and unfortunately that heavy rear end of the Porsche, it treats its front tyres beautifully, but unfortunately just a little spinella then for the Porsche. Excuse me a second. Monkey Games losing out then at this phase. It's minute 17 of the race. Oh, Monkey, not again! And that's a B-bar similar incident then, right in the infield. And there's acres of infield to explore if you're going to go that way. He's got to wait for a good opportunity to get back on the track. And he's done so offline. And he's waited and bided his time. But Monkey Games from the lead down to 10th. Oh, I'm so sorry to see this, Monkey Games. I was really excited for you. But he's damaged the front end of the car. He has no rear grip. He's just stayed out one lap too long, I think, here at the moment. Unfortunately, from the front to the almost back of the grid, back to P13, Monkey, and there's a lot of rebuilding work to do then to try and get back. He's lost almost half a lap to his rival. I'm afraid he's spun again on the pit lane entry. Okay, I'm not going to carry on watching. I'm sorry, but yeah, over half a lap now. Away from where he was, which was ahead of Monsieur Kiefer, who leads the race. He's flashing the lights in the way through the corner. If he's racing on a controller as he goes through the kink on the approach to turn 4. Looking good though on the in the Lamborghini. Kelvin the Boss is there with him, and then we've got a fight over the provisional podium positions right now. Apex not found in P3, B-Bar in P4. And not far behind Black Evo. These cars separated by a second total, I would estimate, as the low grey clouds continue to threaten the oncoming, further rain in this race day. It looks like they may have had rain in qualifying. Certainly rain just before the start of the race. We start with an accurate depiction of the weather at the given time in sim, and then we let GT7 randomize the following positions. Apex not found, clearly failing to find the apex on that previous run because he lost 2 positions. It was just that 1.5 second penalty, unfortunately. So maybe he was getting too greedy with the apexes as he loses down 2 places. B-Bar up to 3rd, Black Evo up to 4th, just about, with that off throttle penalty for Apex, and Black Evo will continue then, and he gets a great drive, does Black Evo, out of the final corner and straight into 3rd place. This will be comfortable. I suspect he'll be able to peel across. Looks like that was actually B-Bar who had a terrible drive off the final corner, and he slips back from 3rd to 5th. But likewise, it just seems to be swapping itself around as Apex not found had a turn to stuff up a corner, and certainly struggle on the exit out of turn 1. DeLucas watches on. He was up there in terms of pace with B-Bar and Pumpkin King in qualifying and at the start of the race as well. So DeLucas round the outside. Oh, a tremendous manoeuvre from him. I'd love to see these overtakes coming from the Jag. Here we go. Picks his lane. He's gone to the outside. Both the drivers in front have chosen the inside, and you usually would go for the outside-inside switchback here, but he just manages to get by B-Bar really comfortably. This Jaguar looking great. He has got newer medium tyres, you have to say. You have to give that excuse to the drivers with him, but DeLucas really impressing as he actions some smooth overtakes in the Jag. Number 723, the Bro Cargo kart, as he comes through the inside in turn 5. Still got that blinker on, but if that's the worst thing he does today, I think that will be easily forgiven from the team and the drivers around him. It does kind of look like he's headed towards the pit lane for drivers who are unfamiliar, who are new to following him or seeing him in his mirrors, in their mirrors. We've got JCGT on those new tyres now as well, hounding the back of B-Bar. Looks like he's going to have a great opportunity. He's got the outside line. I wonder if B-Bar is headed toward the pit lane here. He's very slow into turn 9. No, I think he's just struggling with the tyre. And then we've got Kelvin the Boss spinning round. Unfortunately, Kelvin with a problem here. I wonder if he was helped into this one. It's an unconventional position to go for an overtake. Will we actually get contact? We will. And that is highly unfortunate. In fact, we get a pinball effect as B-Bar gets into it, and then it looks like someone managed to make their way round very comfortably. This is B-Bar. This is from B-Bar's perspective. You can see the crash happening in front of us, and JCGT B-Bar will get the drive out of the final corner. B-Bar just making sure that he had the room on the racetrack, and we go back to see what is going to happen between the two drivers here, DeLucas and Black Evo. Lots and lots of action. I'm sure the stewards will have a few things to investigate post-race. I'll try and give you a view on any decisions or incidents that were decided on post-race as well once we get there. Here is B-Bar again struggling out of turn 1 with the exit, and the drivers on newer tyres just walking their way past him. It's as if B-Bar is driving a very low deg tyre right now, something like an intermediate in the speed of the exits he's got, but he's protecting that tyre. He's still got the damage, but watch for B-Bar. He's still 6th. Watch for him later in the race with a repaired car and a new set of tyres. I'm sure that's on its way. I hope for his sake he doesn't leave that pit stop too late like we've seen so many drivers do already, but only 22 minutes into the race. I think he may be looking at trying to split the race in half and run just a one stop onto a set of hard tyres. That, for me, can only be the explanation as to why he's been satisfied or been happy enough to run a 35, a 36 and a 37.5 on the following laps. Here comes Pumpkin King to follow B-Bar. Is B-Bar finally going to come into the pits as he goes through turn 9? He shapes to the inside. He's not doing it. I'm struggling to understand unless he just simply is waiting for the hard tyre window and protecting that tyre. That's got to be my suspicion. We'll check in with that later. Rizback in P8 in the prideful livery for Kimi's racing team. Looking good out there as usual, with Kelvin the Boss in P9. Quicks in 10th, Apex Specs in 11th. We've got Moxkey in 12th, Breo in 13th, and Monkey Games, sad to say, at the back of the grid. He may have the chance with the weight distribution of the Porsche to be able to get this car home. He's certainly put plenty of fuel on board. Let's see if he can do it. Monsieur Keefe, I was just about to say, is putting in some great laps. That has the hallmarks of an equipment failure. That looks like a mechanical failure for Monsieur Keefe. Let's have a look. Can we see anything on board? Do we just get the cessation of any inputs into the steering here? It is just completely straight. That looks like we've had an equipment failure. I'm very sorry to say, because I was just about to announce that Monsieur Keefe was putting in fantastic lap times. Apex not found. We'll take that all day long as Monsieur Keefe plummets down the order. Nobody seems to want to be able to hold on to the lead of this race at the moment. It looks like Monsieur Keefe may well be out of our race. I think we're about to lose him fully from proceedings, and that looks like potentially either a disconnection or some sort of equipment failure. Unfortunately, that profits Apex not found and JCGT, who lead the race now respectively. DeLucas is there as well in the Bro Carga. We wait to see if some of the drivers who started on the medium tyre will be able to now pit towards the end of this lap. What's B-Bar up to? He finally makes the pit stop, and I think that is purely calculated to have to run the minimum time on the hard tyre. But look at those last few laps into the 37s. That is a significant amount of time loss. Hopefully he can make it up later on in the race. Into the pits also comes Apex Specs. We've got Moxkey out there in P11, Breo and Monkey Games, who, as I said before, lost over half a lap to damage and then a pit stop. And actually, almost on the same straight here is Apex Not Found, your new leader of the race, just celebrating a full lap in the lead after the loss of Kelvin's teammate at the moment of Monsieur Keefe. So Apex Not Found in first. We've got JCGT and DeLucas following, and we've got it's good to see that we've got 5 drivers relatively close together for the potential win here of the of the 9th round of the championship. This is kind of the bogey of the rounds. We've got very different teams performing well in this championship, with the exception of maybe Delessi, who are pretty much up there and in every one of our leagues. But yeah, it's interesting to see a different set of drivers in the mix. Into the pits comes De Lucas. And he now will come in. He's run out of fuel completely, down to 1 litre of fuel, and Pumpkin King also pitting off his soft tyres. Will he be able to get a set of mediums home to the finish of the race, I wonder? JCGT is in second. Black Evo is there in that 3rd place. JCGT is closed in on Apex Not Found. Let's ride on board the 458 Italia Ferrari GT3 car and see what all the fuss is about. Normally you expect it to be the best sounding engine on the grid, but I would absolutely hand that to the Audi all day long. This looks like it's going to be a relatively straightforward build to an overtake here on the Coach Dave car. This is us on board with the Ferrari, and we will see that that Audi appear behind us. That was a great overtake from JCGT. Probably good to see that in chase cam this time, as we go around, and just neat and tidy, leaving a gap to the inside just in case Apex Now Found washes out. He's got slightly worse tyres, Apex, but they're not too far apart in terms of grip left on the tyre. But clearly Apex Not Found is struggling more to get the car to the apex than JCGT. I'm dying to get these drivers to take the apex off their name, but they are not listening to me. I suggested a race-off between the two of them for who has the rights to use it, but they didn't really respond in the positive to that suggestion. Apex Not Found puts his wheel right over the apex and gets his tyres mucky and wet. Let's see what happens as we run through the rest of the race. It looks like the driver's operating, as far as I can tell, on the assumption that they still have to change dry compound, even though other people on the track have used the intermediate on this racing day. I wasn't in the race briefing, naturally, but my anticipation here would have been that they were instructed that was the case. At least that was the case in the following race weekend, as far as I'd heard from G1. So very interesting situation. I would imagine most drivers are playing it safe here. Motzky's in 7th, but running out of tyres on that front left in a big way. I suspect he might look back at this and consider lap 18 1 lap too many on the medium tyre, but hopefully he'll hang on for his sake. Pumpkin King pushing the limits, as always, as you would expect a championship leader to do. His current championship lead, 115 plays 83 at this point in the championship. No other driver on 3 figures for Pumpkin King, but this race not going his way so far. It may come to him towards the end. We've got Pumpkin King running on a, well, it's an outlap, so an in-lap, so it's a 152. B-Bar, his in-lap, a 158. That's a 6-second loss to Pumpkin King, and hopefully he'll be able to make that up, but that's pretty incredible. 134.2 though, back into much better lap times here in the Lexus. It's a heavy car. It uses its tyres more than most of our rivals here, but B-Bar seems to have plenty of skill underneath him, and he'll be in a good place now that those podium contenders, Apex Not Found and Black Evo, have pitted. B-Bar may be able to get much closer to the provisional podium. Lots of drivers choosing lap 18 as the one to come in. JCGT, unsurprisingly, in the Ferrari, getting an extra lap out than anybody else, but he does have some damage on the car. Now, I don't know how long that damage has been showing. Let me just see if I can... There it is! There it is! So I did think that was relatively new. Here is the view from behind as we go across that apex. And yeah, it was nobody helped him to this one, and a very unusual tank slapper spin into the barrier for JCGT. Another one of our leaders crashes out, and this has to be getting to a record now. as it seems to be the curse of leading G2 in round 9 of the championship. Unfortunately, JCGT losing a huge amount of time as a result of this one. Let's see if B-Bar catches, or perhaps the drivers ahead of him, Motsky and Pumpkin King, are they going to be catching? Motsky will be in touch with B-Bar on the team radio, and I think B-Bar will be saying, you know, if you can hold up Pumpkin King, then please do hold up Pumpkin King, but into the pits we go. Of course, Motsky was close to the end of his tyre life. This is Pumpkin King then. He did lead the race at the start. I think he made the wrong choice to start on the intermediates, but he's making up for it. Can he pick up the lead of this race once again, once JCGT does indeed finally pit? We've got Black Evo just emerging from the pit lane in front of Pumpkin King, so managing to perform the overcut on Pumpkin King, the long overcut at least. JCGT with that damage on the front of the car. Ended up with a 144 that previous lap, so at least 10 seconds lost on the car, and it's not as if those medium tyres were dead either. It's just a miscalculation going through between turn 9 and turn 10. Pumpkin King and DeLucas are right there, and within the same straightaway you've also got Apex Not Found, Rizback and B-Bar. So those drivers who have been so close in terms of pace. Looked like B-Bar had a slightly rough exit out of the previous corner there. Yeah, lots of drivers still in contention here. Remember that Black Evo at the front of this camera shot is your net leader, because we're expecting JCGT into the pits, and indeed the leader now pits. So if Black Evo now crashes on his own, I think we'll have to call this some sort of some sort of witchcraft that has affected our drivers today. This has been a mighty strange race here so far. Breo indicating to the right, so he's right more than he's wrong when it comes to turning on the circuit. But I think he's just left that on after pitting. And in VR, you can't always see that. Not every car has an indicator inside the cabin that you can see to show you that you have still got your blinker on. Let's just have a look at what's going on above this car in terms of the position on the tower. You've got Pumpkin King chasing down. He's got medium tyres to Black Evo's hards, so clearly Pumpkin King thinking he's going to be able to get those mediums home on the outside, and he was a little bit squeezed on the outside there, it looks like. I think perhaps Black Evo would claim he didn't see him on the outside. Let's have a second look at that from Pumpkin King's perspective. He is very wide here, but clearly wasn't given a car width to the exit of the corner. He will take that though and get the drive on the grippier side of the circuit on the way out. But unfortunately for him, picks up a 1 second penalty after being the injured party. But he did keep his foot in off the circuit, and perhaps he'll sort of reflect back on that one. Tries to do the cutback here, but of course the traction zone is the left-hand side, and then of course you're about to turn left as well, so it's unusual to see a car make a pass on the inside exit of turn 4 and 5. Pumpkin King will then take the penalty, and Black Evo holding on to the lead for now at least. Whether he managed to continue that in the steward's room later, we shall see at the end of the race. But Pumpkin King in P2 peels to the inside, still giving good sportsmanship despite being hard done by. That allows DeLucas to start dreaming of a potential win here. P2 at the moment, and about a 3 or 4 second gap behind the provisional podium, back to JCGT, who's still got good pace, still got a good chance at a podium here on a new set of medium tyres. He's got less than the length of the start-finish straight to catch here, and then it's Apex Not Found, Rizback and B-Bar. B-Bar back in the 135s, but now a personal best of 33.8. The fastest lap of the race is a 31.9. Pumpkin King did use the soft tyres earlier on. Rizback in P6, collecting good points here. Another driver who is transferring his driving skill from the Adrian Newey division into the G2 division, presumably for a reserve seat here rather than a full-time change. But the top three, well, unfortunately, have just missed the overtake. So let's go back to this one and see what happened for DeLucas. Here he is. On the outside, is he given a little bit more room this time from his rival on the inside, Black Evo? Yes, a little more room. He almost gets tagged from behind from Pumpkin King, and then of course DeLucas has the right to that left-hand lane because he was able to ride on the outside with Black Evo, and DeLucas into the lead of the race. However, we may get a challenge back again on the way into the corner. Black Evo with a late lunge to the inside. Unfortunately for him, DeLucas was already committed to the braking zone, and certainly nothing he was going to be able to do once under full braking load there into turn 4 as they head now into 6 and the short shoot through to 7. Pumpkin King is looking racy because he's on those medium tyres. They will glow bright at the start, and then they will start to dim towards the end of the 50 minutes. We've got about 16 minutes of game time left to run, of race time left to run for these drivers, all of whom will be hoping to get home on the set of tyres and fuel that they are currently on. Just over half a tank of fuel on the Nismo, nearly 3/4 of a tank of fuel on the Porsche, and clearly the Nismo able to run with a lot less fuel on board and a lot less weight penalty, but of course still leaning on that front of the car in terms of the weight distribution, comparing to the Porsche of Pumpkin King, who makes a move, a long worked move, go through turn 1. It's then you get the top speed disadvantage here. Pumpkin King might have been tempted to help Black Evo to the outside of the circuit there, as perhaps he was helped over that way. Of course, he suffered a 1-second penalty in their battle on the previous lap. He's now managed to get that place back into second, but the Nismo is a quicker car in a straight line, and down the inside, Pumpkin King left the inside open, and contact was relatively predictable going through there. These two are really fighting very hard indeed. Let's see from the chase cam here. I guess you could argue Black Evo had the ability to steer more to the right, but fair's fair in terms of competing here. Pumpkin King, I think, still will be loving this. Some competition. Nobody wants to dominate a championship and like completely unchallenged. So I think he'd be enjoying this one. And you have to say, Black Evo dropping to 8th in the championship. He's missed 2 races, the first and the 4th race of the championship, but great to have him really mixing it with the fastest drivers, and proving that you don't necessarily need a set of soft tyres to make a bid for the podium. You can, with consistency, manage to hang on. He's the only one of our former leaders to have not stuffed it somehow or other into the scenery. So Pumpkin King goes to the inside. Black Evo tries to get in, and this is getting quite tetchy between the two. I think Pumpkin King recognised that and ducked out of the throttle mid-corner to allow Black Evo to keep his advantage. JCGT in 4th position, a little bit on his own, being caught now by Rizbek and Apex Not Found, who are absolutely together on the track. We've got Rizbek ahead of Apex Not Found. Let's see if Apex will go for the inside line. Rizbek not fully making up his mind whether he was leaving the door open or not. Apex Not Found slow through turn 3. And he's got B-Bar not far behind him. B-Bar back down into the 1 minute 33s on the last 3 consecutive laps now on the hard tyre. He's got them up to temperature, and he'll be hoping at least to try and regain those valuable points for Team Mega, and position himself within the team as someone, a bit of a super sub, I think, right now. But Pumpkin King in P3 with Black Evo in P2. And getting away from this pair is DeLucas in the Jag, able to profit from the battling that's going on for P2 at the moment as they slow each other down through the course of this race. Pumpkin King on the mediums, Black Evo having to use the hard tyres in the Nismo, but has less fuel on board, and he has a slight top speed advantage, it looks like, at least. Here is Pumpkin King then to the inside in towards turn 1. They have rub wheels going through this corner, but Pumpkin King is well ahead on the way through. The car gets a little bit unsettled. He catches it nicely though, but does that hamper him in terms of outright momentum all the way down the kink of turn 2 and in towards turn 3? I think it is going to hurt him a little bit. Black Evo with the ideal line through the corner and down the inside. What a great battle we are seeing between these two. They've cleaned it up somewhat. Pumpkin King is over the line there. he'll be very lucky to stay away from a track limit penalty, and he's actually managed that. I think he kept 2 wheels on the curb, and I think that's the key while you've got the throttle applied. Pumpkin King in P3 looking really good at the moment, but this battle has been hard fought and very, very entertaining between the two of them. Multiple laps, trading places, trading paint as well, and a couple of track penalties. But right now, I think if Pumpkin King goes on to win this, he'll look back on this and think this was a fun battle. If he ends up third, I think he'll argue that he wasn't given enough space and it wasn't great. But, you know, that's just racing drivers for you. Apex Not Found in 6th place, running a 34.3. Another personal best from B-Bar on lap 23, a 33.4. But he's then going to have to make the overtake happen soon. Still back to the closest battle for the most points on the grid here, and that is Black Evo just breaking the toe and stopping Pumpkin King from getting those extra few miles an hour on the approach to turn 1. I have to do that over and over again, but you've got to nail this turn 1 perfectly. It looks like Pumpkin King was slightly better through turn 1, and roles reversed once again as they head through the next few corners. Black Evo drifting to the left. I was surprised to see Pumpkin King not dive across to the right hand side of the track and go for the inside line here, and again they're not quite able to give each other enough space. This time I think there was the tiny bit of contact from the following car from Pumpkin King. Let's maybe look at that from the hood cam, and we'll get the best idea about whether there was a touch here. I think he'll feel like he was cut across in the braking zone. Not much he could do as the Bergstein Transport Service car tries to stop the overtake mid braking zone, potentially, and not for the first time. But Black Evo losing out that time, but of course he's close enough to continue this battle, and he'll have the better tyres at the end of the stint. We've got just over 10 minutes to go in this 9th round of the championship. It has been a stellar race, a fantastic chess match between these two especially, but throughout the grid. But not a single driver who's led this race so far, with the exception of Black Evo, has been able to keep it between the white lines for the entirety of the race to this point. So let's see if De Lucas can buck that trend. He has himself had an issue, I believe, earlier in the race, but let's see if Black Evo can hang on here. It would be a great irony if he was the only former leader to keep it clean and out of the barriers, and then picks up a penalty later in the race. Just gone through the grid there. Kelvin 9th, Breo 10th, Quicks 11th, Motsky 12th, and Monkey Games down in 13th. That's got to be the biggest disappointment of the race to this point. Has got to be Monkey. Got himself up to first position and is running dead last right now. And suddenly Black Evo's pace has dropped off. I think he's not able to get the top speed that Pumpkin King is satisfied with on those medium tyres. But they will tail off in a few minutes time. 2 or 3 laps time they will start to tail off as the sun sets here over the Spielberg mountain range, and Black Evo losing out the traction out of turn 3 this time. Now JCGT will have a go to make the overtake. JCGT down the inside in the Ferrari on the Nismo as they cooperate very nicely through that turn 4 and 5, and JCGT on the newer tyres and the medium tyres to boot up to P3, and it will be great for the championship if JCGT can start to challenge Pumpkin King as well. As we came in to this race, JCGT was our early leader of the championship, but having poor results after round 4 and a no-show in round 7 and 8, he has been sorely missed in terms of points accrual through the rest of our season. It's JCGT then back with us and driving very well indeed. One little snafu in the preceding corner sequence earlier on in the race, but there's a personal best from him. Still, Pumpkin King has the fastest lap. That was recently set actually by Pumpkin King, the 26th lap on medium tyres. He gets a 31.8, and he is definitely visor down and heading for a provisional win here. He's not thinking about protecting those medium tyres at this stage. He is going for it. 10 tenths, qualifying laps now to try and find his way to another famous win and a 4th win of this championship after only round 9. This is very, very intriguing situation then. He's the most victorious driver, or the winningest, if you want to use bad grammar, in the league. So 3 wins to his name. Apex Not Found has also won. So has JCGT so far in the season. And I think we've had a couple of guest wins from drivers in reserve. I'll just double check that. Yeah, we've had Skycloud, Pat Finn. Skycloud has won twice. Pat Finn's won once in G2 here. But those are reserve drivers, so don't count towards the overall Drivers' Championship at this stage. Black Evo in P4, although they do count towards their Master Championship scores and their consistency ratings and what have we. So it's still plenty to play for if you are a reserve driver, especially if your name is Skycloud or Pat Finn. JCGT pits again then. That's a surprise to me, but he's clearly gone through the fuel. So he didn't have enough fuel on board. It looks like Black Evo is going to be okay with some 7, not even 7 minutes, just over 6 minutes left to go before the checkered flag will fall. De Lucas leads the race, probably by 3 or 4 seconds here. With a few laps left to run. Pumpkin King chasing him down here, a 32.4 his next lap. I think he is starting to have to worry about those tyres slightly now, but he's still faster than De Lucas with Black Evo on his own in P3. Next up down the road, we've got Apex Not Found and Rizback, 4th and 5th. B-Bar is not far from here, but Apex Not Found has found his way past the very colourful Rizback in P5. So B-Bar trying to get his Lexus home on the hard tyres. Hasn't been able to catch these two just yet, but the race has still got plenty of time left to run. 5.5 minutes to go here and that you can see B-Bar has only been running this Lexus for 400 miles so far. So it has to be one of the least experienced drivers. Nearly 900 miles on Rizback's clock. Compare that to Apex Not Found, approaching 3,000 miles on his odometer there. So that's certainly going to be a factor to be thinking about. JCGT running in P7 after his pit stop. So why did he pit? Just a splash of fuel, stayed on his same set of tyres, didn't even switch to soft tyres. That's a big surprise to me. Why you wouldn't switch to a set of softs with a few minutes to go? Especially if you're taking on fuel, so you're stationary anyway. The tyre change doesn't cost you a great deal, but he's come out in 7th. Wasn't really under threat from P8, so maybe a failure from his engineer if they were able to raise an engineer for the G2 field this time round. But maybe the engineer might be thinking about that. They've all now got access to the engineer app by Hector, which allows the engineers to look at lots and lots of data, even more data than I can look at on my screen display. Breo takes a 1 second off throttle penalty to come. He's in 10th place. We've got Quicks in 11th, Motsky in 12th place, and Monkey Games still in 13th. I think his heart has dropped. I think he's going to stick it out and get the final position on the grid for his team, but I think he's going to be absolutely distraught in that cockpit. De Lucas is under threat here as we close in towards the end of the race. De Lucas and Pumpkin King will need to protect those medium tyres. They might not know for each other that they're both on fairly equally balanced and degraded medium tyres, but they start lap 30 and there are 3.5 minutes just under to go here. So I think we're going to have 2 or 3, I think 3 more laps it will be for the 2 leaders anyway. So there's going to be a lot of work for De Lucas to do here. He's communicating on track that he knows Pumpkin King is there by drifting across to the inside. Pumpkin King will receive that information and have a little bit of confidence, I think, knowing that De Lucas is at least looking out for him. And sometimes you'll see the following car do the same thing to indicate to the driver in front, I'm coming through, notice me, don't claim that you haven't seen me. But at the moment, De Lucas running very well here in the Jag for the Bro Cargo team. It would be a tremendous result for Bro Cargo if they can secure the win here. But Pumpkin King leads the championship and is the most victorious driver in G2, and he doesn't get there without by giving away freebies. So he'll be pushing hard, and I don't think De Lucas would want it any other way either. The challenge for the top two resumes and continues with 2.5 minutes left to go. I think we're going to cross the line, are we, with less than 2 minutes to go here. So we will start the penultimate lap now. 31 will be the penultimate lap, and then for these two at least, they'll be running for the 32nd and final lap. Pumpkin King shapes to the inside. De Lucas just drifts slightly to the inside there and has a look at the opportunity. Here's Black Evo and Apex Not Found crossing the line together to start lap 31. Might be at risk of finishing the race on this lap, these two. Certainly the cars behind them will, as they go side by side into the corner, and Black Evo gets fully sideways. You really struggle to go side by side into turn 1 here, and we'll have a look from this perspective. I think he left enough room, but unfortunately Apex Not Found hit the Apex sausage curb. That shot him off to the left and into Black Evo, and I think fair's fair, he has decided not to take advantage of that fact. B-Bar could potentially overtake, but I think these drivers, the P5 and P6, will have to make the move now, because this is the final lap for these two, as we're going to go up to the front of the grid here and see if Pumpkin King can make his way by past De Lucas. It'll be heartbreak for De Lucas if he does lose out, but he might be thinking he'd rather be the hunter coming up to the end of the race. Oh no, it's De Lucas leaving the track all by himself here, I think. Just confirm that. Yeah, that seems to be my impression. I think we're just going to go long, a little bit late on the brakes, not quite get the performance out of that front right, and that is absolutely heartbreaking for the Brokaga driver and team, as he gifts essentially the lead of the race to Pumpkin King. And with Pumpkin King's speed difference, 33.0 for De Lucas, 32.5 for Pumpkin King, that is the decisive moment of the race, I think, for the lead of this one, as Black Evo continues in P3 and Apex Not Found in P4. I think they will be marginal to finish this lap before the checkered flag. I think Rizback and B-Bar will take the checkered flag first. So this is going to be a very important final few corners for the midfield here at the moment. Here is an opportunity as well for Kelvin to defend. Apex Specs to try go around the outside. That was nicely done by Kelvin. Apex Specs takes this chance now to come through. I'm just going to check out. I don't want to miss the drivers coming across the line, but at the moment we've got Apex Specs in 9th. He shapes to the outside, expecting the full defence from Kelvin, who then cuts back to the inside. That's very neatly done. That's a difficult place to defend once you've committed to the outside line, but he did a really good job there. Outside to inside defence coming through. And let's just check out. Pumpkin King, De Lucas have started their final lap. Here comes lap 32, but I think it's going to be Apex Not Found, is it? And Rizback. No, they managed to make the final of the race. What is going on? It is now the final lap for these drivers. JCGT finally has crossed the line first in 7th position, so he will secure that one. Kelvin the Boss, he's going to try and hang on through the final 2 corners. I think he's done enough. Really good defence on that final lap for these two. Slight drag race to the line, possibly. The Lamborghini finishing ahead of the Audi of Apex Specs. Breo will be on his own, unchallenged, and I think the rest of the grid will come through just a-okay. But it does look like Pumpkin King is going to take this one quite comfortably in the end. But De Lucas had his opportunity, and if the race had been 1 lap shorter, maybe 2 laps shorter, I think it was De Lucas's here overall. But Pumpkin King surviving the leader's curse of this race so far anyway. Let's see, 2 more corners to go. Can he take another win, a 4th win of this inaugural G2 Championship with SVR? It looks like it's all smooth sailing out of the final corner for Pumpkin King, who takes the win in Austria, and that was hard earned as well. De Lucas with a great 2nd position crosses the line, then just behind the leader Pumpkin, And then it's Apex Not Found who's going to win out with the final step on the podium. Oh dear, it looks like Black Evo's losing time and running out of fuel on the line. It's Rizback in 4th. It's B-Bar in 5th for Team Mega. Black Evo ran out of fuel in 6th. JCGT in 7th. And I'm just going to check in here. We've got Kelvin the Boss in 8th, Apex Specs in 9th, and Brayo finishing in 10th place. Let's have a look, shall we, at the race as things ran when it comes to the actual finishing order then for the drivers. I'm going to have a look at the standings and just see if we can have a look. Any issue there for the drivers finishing? Any penalties applied? I'm seeing no issues actually. So there were plenty of reports. Excuse me. Motsky was disqualified and given a time and penalty point setting. This is a compound rule violation. Hards were not used during the session without the wet or intermediate tyres. So that is interesting because I believe a rule was declared at the start of the following race whereby anyone using the wet tyres gave carte blanche to the rest of the drivers, but maybe that was something that happened later on. Motsky was given a penalty for something that happened at turn 2. This is lap 2 turn 2 incident with Monkey Games, avoidable contact. So Motsky given a penalty for that, and then no further action on all the other claims here. So I didn't see Black Evo submitted, was appealed against by Pumpkin King, who had frankly nothing to lose in the end, but Motsky disqualified for the failure to use the hard tyre during the course of the race. Make of that what you will, but that was the end of the Austrian rounds of our championship, and the drivers move on to Croatia for Dragon Tail Seaside. We will see you very soon on the channel. We will see you soon. Please like the video, do all the good things, press all the buttons that you possibly can, and we will catch you on the next race day.